Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are Detroit.
Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is presented by
Bell Tire.
It is another perfect day for baseball here in Central Florida. Today, the grass is not the only thing that's green. We celebrate St. Patrick's Day as we welcome you to Publix Field at Joker Marchant Stadium. Spring training baseball today features the New York Yankees and the Detroit Tigers. Hi again, everyone, and welcome to Tigers Baseball. Mario and Bevel alongside Rod Allen. Glad to have you with us here this afternoon. Spring training marches on, Rod, and the Tigers, well, their pitching staff starting to take form now. Michael Fulmer gets the call today. What have you seen out of him this year?
Well, one thing I've noticed about Michael Fulmer, and I had a chance to talk to him yesterday, this guy is mature beyond his years, Mario. In his last outing, he pitched 2 innings, and he did very well in the first 2 innings of that particular contest. His fastball was very good. He had some outstanding breaking balls, and he also threw some really nice changeups, but he said he was not able to maintain that past the second inning. Look for Michael Fulmer today to go out and pitch 4 innings, maybe 60, 65 pitches, but what he wants to do is go hard for 4 innings. Avila's also catching him today, and he said that he was going to catch him and call the game like it was an in-season game.
All right, we look forward to seeing Michael Fulmer today. Packed show here this afternoon. Mickey York is with us, and he will be interviewing Tigers all afternoon long. We'll check in with the hitting coach as well, Lloyd McClendon. All of that coming up. Stay with us. Tigers baseball coming up against the Yankees. J.D. Martinez back in the cleanup spot. He has been red hot for the Tigers of late. Tigers Yanks from Lakeland coming up next on Fox Sports Detroit. Spring Training 2017 marches on as we welcome you to Publix Field at Joker Marchant Stadium. We're in Lakeland, Florida today. The Tigers and the New York Yankees get together for spring training baseball. Beautiful day here in the Central Florida area. The Tigers, with a little bit of a breeze, will play here this afternoon. And the conditions today are presented by Ace Hardware and the Scotts Company. As you can see, 67 degrees right now. A little bit of humidity, not a whole lot, and a little bit of wind. Northeast. I like that for a weather forecast here this afternoon. Tigers trying to continue their winning ways. They've played some pretty good baseball of late, and they will take on the Yankees here this afternoon. And here's the starting lineup for Joe Girardi's crew. It is brought to you by the Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. It'll be Gardner, Ellsbury, and Sanchez. Top three spots in the lineup: Holiday, Bird, and Headley, Refsnyder, Torres, and Torres. A lot of the starters here today for the New York Yankees as they take on the Detroit Tigers. They will face the reigning Rookie of the Year in the American League, Michael Fulmer, presented by Family Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Well, Michael Fulmer is making his fourth start of spring training. You take a look at his overall numbers last year where he was Rookie of the Year. He was a 11-7 with a 306 earned run average, fastball mid-90s, outstanding slider, and a changeup that really took his game to another level last season.
So Michael Fulmer getting set to do battle here. We bring in the third member of our broadcast crew here this afternoon, Mickey York. Happy St. Patty's Day, Mick.
Same to you, Mario, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because for people just tuning in, wanting to adjust their sets, don't. Yes, the Tigers are wearing these green hats and green jerseys today in honor of St. Patrick's Day. I know it can be a little jarring when you see the Tigers wearing something that'll look like the beer Mario and Rod are going to be drinking later on today. But this is a bit of a spring training tradition for the Tigers to put on green on St. Patrick's Day. And believe me, you'll never see as much green in the stands as you will today at a Tigers game on St. Patrick's Day. Everybody's been asking me, hey, how do you get one of those? These have been a hot commodity. I have a personal connection. Okay, that's how I was able to get mine for the sake of full disclosure, but I know they are offering them at the D shop here at the stadium. I imagine you can get them at home as well, guys. And for the guys wearing green today, we will catch up with them a little later on in the ball game. Alex Avila expected to drop by, Nick Castellanos. We might even catch up with Justin Verlander, who's had a great spring as well. So looking forward to that this afternoon, fellas.
All right, Mick, thanks very much. And just for the record, it's nothing but soda pop for Rod and I. Just
absolutely
get that straightened out. Here we go. The first pitch of the ball game today is a ball down low to Brett Gardner, who starts things off for the Yankees this afternoon. The Tigers take on a Yankees team that has more victories than any other club in spring training. Fulmer's 1-0, missing the outside corner. 2 balls and no strikes on Gardner.
It's going to be a nice test this afternoon for Michael Fulmer. And Joe Girardi, the manager of the New York Yankees, has pretty much brought all of his regulars down here to Lakeland, Florida this afternoon.
It is a Yankees team that has gotten a little bit younger of late. That ball bounced back up the middle, and Machado makes the play. 1 gone.
And very nice to keep Brett Gardner off the base pass. When he gets on, he is definitely a threat to run.
That'll bring up Jacoby Ellsbury, another one of the veteran players they have at the top of their lineup. This is a Yankees team that features a couple of guys at the top of their lineup that have been able to run throughout the course of their careers.
I was listening to an interview just a couple of days ago that the manager, Joe Girardi, was given, and he says, yes, they have a lot of young players on their roster, and they're going to have 3 kids in their starting lineup this year, but it's going to be very important for Ellsbury to play the way that he played before they got him, the way he played his final year in Boston. They haven't seen that Jacoby Ellsbury yet.
Ellsbury finishing second in the Most Valuable Player Award voting back in 2011. He had just a monster year for the Red Sox. Batting .308 on the spring. And Fulmer missing outside.
When Ellsbury's right, he could beat you a lot of different ways. He could beat you with his legs. He's got some pop. He can run the ball down in center field. Doesn't throw very well, but he's a very good defender.
A little bit away again. 2 balls and 1 strike as we scope out the career numbers on Jacoby Ellsbury. .286 lifetime hitter, but 3 times in his career he has stolen 50 or more in a single season. That's hit hard back up the middle. On the back end there is Infante. His throw is going to be off target, and it'll be an infield hit for Ellsbury.
Batting third, the catcher, number...
Omar Infante has had a spectacular spring, and he's trying to win a backup position as an infielder on this Tigers roster at age 35. They say he's moving better than he's ever moved. Take a look at him take the right angle to grab that ball on 1 hop. Then he fires down from a sidearm angle, and the reason why that ball tailed on him is because of the angle that he threw from and the speed of Ellsbury running down the line.
Well, the Tigers, of course, have Ian Kinsler playing in the WBC, which has opened up some opportunities here for Infante this spring, and he really has taken advantage. Here's Gary Sanchez, the highly celebrated rookie last year for the Yankees, had a big season.
You mean Babe Ruth?
Babe Sanchez, yeah, he was unreal. In just 53 games last year, this guy right here hit 20 home runs and a .299 batting average.
And it looks like he's going to bat third for the Yankees this year.
How about that? Not a whole lot of big league time, but smack dab in the middle of that Yankees lineup. Fulmer with the 1-0. It sails outside. 2 balls and no strikes.
And if you talk to people that follow the Yankees team on a daily basis, they will simply tell you that those numbers last year that Sanchez put up were no fluke. They say from the time they signed him, they thought he would bat in the middle of the order, and they thought he'd be an outstanding defensive catcher that can call a really good game, and he has a laser for an arm.
So a couple of really good young players facing each other here. You got Fulmer, the rookie of the year, and you got the guy that finished right behind him in that voting, Sanchez, at the plate. And Michael missing high again. The count goes to 3-0. Not nearly as sharp today as he was the last time we saw him.
Yeah, you never know if Sanchez will have the green light here to swing 3-0. It is spring training. A lot of times managers will try to get a feel, especially with a young player, whether he could do it or not.
And that one way out of the strike zone, ball 4, and that'll put 2 aboard now for the Yanks. First walk of the ball game for the right-hander Fulmer.
The designated hitter number 17,
and now Matt Holliday. Well, we do talk about all the young players on this Yankees team, and they've got a lot of them in camp, but they do still have some guys that have played quite a few years in the big leagues, and Holliday is one of them. Hitting .321 this spring.
They signed him as a free agent this last offseason. Last number of years he played for the St. Louis Cardinals. He was hitting balls a long way today in batting practice. He still got some strength.
Boy, he sure does. Holliday, at least 20 or more homers in 10 seasons in the major leagues.
More than likely, he's going to be the designated hitter this year. He might get a few starts at first base. He might get a handful of starts in the outfield, but for the most part, he's going to be the designated hitter.
Foul ground first base side. Tough play for Pill. Leaning into the crowd. Can't get it.
Gorgeous afternoon here today in Lakeland, Florida. Last couple of days, a little chilly. I shouldn't say that too loud because the folks back up in the Motor City, man, they was dealing with some real cold weather. Yeah, but it was chilly down here.
You're making some enemies when you do that. Chilly means 65 here in Lakeland past couple of days. But the berm packed once again. One of the nicest and really most unique places of this ballpark out in left field. 1 ball, 1 strike on Matt Holliday. Hammer to the air to right center field. Collins on the move, has room. Ellsbury tagging at second, and he will move to third. 2 gone. Runners at the corners now for the Yankees. That'll bring up Greg Bird. Fulmer last year won 11 games as a rookie. His ERA a shade over 3. Michael obviously being counted on to anchor the top part of the Tigers rotation this year. You know, Verlander has pitched well here this spring. Daniel Norris has pitched well this spring. Matthew Boyd has as well. Here are some numbers last year. Most wins among rookies. Fulmer just ahead of Dylan Bundy of the Orioles. So here is Bird now with 2 outs. He's had himself a fine spring. .452 this spring.
It could be. Make a picture of me and North.
And that is just a little bit outside. 1 ball and no strikes on Bird.
Bird missed the entire 2016 campaign with a shoulder injury. He did participate in the Arizona Fall League during the winter. He struggled, but he is not struggling this spring training. He's going to be their everyday first baseman.
Not even on the close setting. It's like 2.5.
That slides in and low, and the count now goes to 2 balls, no strikes. And again, Michael Fulmer falling behind just about every hitter here in the first inning.
That is one of the things that Michael Fulmer was so good at last year, and that was attacking the strike zone early in games, strike one to most hitters, and that's what allowed him to have the kind of success that he had a season ago. That would allow him to get to his breaking ball and also the changeup.
Well, Fulmer, of course, missed a start earlier this spring after rolling his ankle. That did not turn out to be too serious, so they rested him up for about a week. 8 days, and then he finally made his next start.
Yeah, he was possibly going to pitch a game for the United States in the World Baseball Classic, but after he missed that week with the ankle injury, I guess those they decided against that.
And I think that's a good idea. You know, the World Baseball Classic around is a great tournament, but when you have a guy like Fulmer and they watched his numbers in terms of innings last year, I was kind of I wasn't disappointed that he wasn't able to pitch.
And I'm sure Brad wasn't too disappointed either.
Brad Ausmus ducked out in green, as are all of the Tigers today. Straight back of the screen.
4th season for Brad Ausmus as the manager of the Tigers. Appears to me to be more comfortable this year than the previous 3. Not that he wasn't comfortable, but Brad just appears to be really sure of himself managing the Tigers these days.
It's the old saying, you don't know what you don't know. Well, Ausmus for the last 3 years has learned quite a bit, and so coming into spring camp this year, much different feel. Meanwhile, Fulmer trying to take care of Bird here with runners at the corners, and for Brad Ausmus, his team got off to a very slow start. Now keep in mind they're missing a lot of their heavy artillery in the middle of their lineup. The numbers on Brad in his first 3 seasons with Detroit. And it's low for ball 4. That will load the bases, so the pitch count continues to elevate here in the first inning for Michael Fulmer. That is his 2nd walk of the inning. And we'll get a visit out at the mound now as Rich Doobie comes out to give Fulmer a breath here. 21 pitches in this first inning. And Fulmer will be facing Chase Headley with the bases loaded and 2 outs. Kind of a lengthy visit here now. Home plate umpire Mark Wegner about ready to break it up. So here is Headley, who's batting just .185 this spring.
If you're Michael Fulmer in this particular situation, you might want to start Headley off with an off-speed pitch. Bases loaded after a visit for the pitching coach. Most hitters are looking for a fastball on that next offering from the pitcher.
Ball 1. Michael in his last start, it was the game we had. And we broadcast his last start against the Mets, and he was outstanding the first 2 innings, had little trouble. Tired a little bit in the 3rd, and then eventually was taken out of the game.
That's exactly what he told me yesterday.
Line foul to left field.
2nd time that Avila has caught Fulmer. I was having a conversation with Alex today, and he says he's made a point to try to catch every single pitcher in spring training. There's a lot of new faces here, even though he was only gone for a year. And so as a backup catcher, you want to try to get as many reps at catching as many guys as you can to see exactly what they feature.
Another one fouled back out of play. 1-2 now on the veteran Chase Headley.
You could see that Fulmer's got a little life on his fastball. Last couple of swings by Headley. A little tardy on the heater.
Fulmer last year was assigned to Toledo on a spring training and then was recalled late in the month of April. And we all know what he went on to do in a Tigers uniform in winning the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, Brad said he would get 1 start and then they would evaluate after that. When they first called him up, he went on to get 26 of them.
Pretty good evaluation. Level the count now, 2-2. Single by Ellsbury and walks to Sanchez and Bird here in the first inning for the Yankees. On a clear afternoon here in Lakeland. Now the 2-2. Low 3-2.
Yankees are doing a very nice job so far here in the very first inning of laying off the borderline pitches, the changeup and also the breaking ball.
And as a result, Fulmer's pitch count now is up to 26.
He'll probably go up to about 60 today. Through 44 pitches his last time out.
So we'll start it again. The Yankees have the advantage here of starting the runners with 2 outs. There is some activity now in the Tigers bullpen. A.J. Achter is warming up. He is scheduled to throw today along with Drew Verhagen, Blaine Hardy, Angel Nesbitt as well. Again, the 3-2. And another foul by Headley. Chase Headley last year, 14 homers for the Yankees, 51 RBIs. We're talking about the fact this Yankees team still has some veteran leadership. We talked about Holiday, and Chase Headley's been around a while. 253 last year for the veteran third baseman. Swing and a miss. He struck him out, and Fulmer comes back to fan Chase Headley. Yankees leave him loaded. Base hit, 2 walks. We'll go to the bottom of the first in Lakeland. Here come the Tigers now as we go to the bottom of the first inning here in Lakeland. No score. And the Tigers starting lineup presented by the Southeast Michigan Ford dealers. Here's how Brad Ausmus has them lined up today. Infante, Collins, Castellanos in the top 3 spots. J.D. batting cleanup, and Upton and Avila, Ficacello, Hill, and Machado rounded out for the Detroit Tigers. And they are facing the veteran right-hander Masahiro Tanaka.
And Tanaka quietly had a really good year last year. Pitched nearly 200 innings. The earned run average just a shade over 3, which was good for 3rd in the American League. 165 strikeouts for Tanaka a season ago. He's got a fastball that gets up to about 92, 93. He's got a cutter. He's got a slider, a curveball. But what separates him from most is that split-fingered fastball when he's right. It's a devastating pitch, and that's the pitch that he gets most of his strikeouts with.
Here's the 0-1-2 Infante. In the air to right field, straight at Refsnyder. 1 gone.
Second time the Tigers have seen Tanaka this spring. Last time he saw them, he struck out 7 Tigers. That was on the 11th of March.
You know, you mentioned Tanaka had a pretty good year last year. In doing our research for Masahiro, I really didn't realize the year he had. I mean, it was a very good season.
Career high in wins with 14. Also career high in innings pitched, nearly 200.
Here is Tyler Collins. Playing in center field in the ball game today. Collins, of course, had a lat problem that kept him out defensively at the start of spring camp. Battling for one of the open positions, the center field position for the Tigers. Bouncing ball second base side. Torres will throw him out, 2 gone.
And Tigers are going to have to make a decision on Tyler Collins toward the tail end of spring training. He's out of options, which means if they want to send him down to the minor leagues, they will expose him to the other 29 clubs.
Yeah, it's not just as simple as who's playing the best in spring camp. Collins out of options. Steven Moya is out of options. And Machado is out of options. So when you look at some of the younger players, that certainly comes into play or can come into play. There's Castellanos with 2 outs.
Speaking of young players, he looks like he's going to have a big year, Mario. Nicholas Castellanos is dialed in so far this spring.
.310 batting average. Playing a very solid third base for the Tigers.
Really worked on his agility in the offseason. He wanted to get more athletic at the third base position. And talking to some of the Tigers coaches, they say he's moving better. He's running better. And we all know he can hit. He was born to hit.
Was having a tremendous year last year until he broke his hand. And Nick looks at a ball up high. 1 ball, 1 strike. You know, I always wondered about guys like Castellanos. When do you start to put them in the veteran category? He's still a very young player, but he's had 3+ seasons now in the big leagues. This will be his 4th plus, so he's kind of getting there almost.
I think he's there for me. Just the way that he's been carrying himself all spring, and really the way that he's carried himself since he came to the movies. And that would be the big leagues for some of you new listeners out there. We like to educate you in spring training.
The rodisms, the Allen jargon. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Castellanos. Tanaka, 28 years old, born in Japan, has some really good seasons there. Here's the 1-2. And Nick looks at a ball low, 2-2.
It's a nice job there by Castellanos laying off that split-fingered fastball that Tanaka will throw quite a bit. Also really nice leadership skills behind the plate by the youngster, Gary Sanchez. And you saw him before that pitch pointing with the glove. Make sure you get it down. Get it all the way down to the ground.
And Castellanos now has the count fill up at 3 balls and 2 strikes.
One of the things that Castellanos has been outstanding at doing since he came to the big leagues, and that's driving the ball into right center field. And that's why the center fielder, Jacoby Ellsbury, shading him ever so slightly over in the right center field. And you can see Jacoby in center, about 4 or 5 steps over in right center.
Nick this year with 1 home run. He's knocked in 6. And he looks at ball 4.
Good at bat by Castellanos.
Tigers have their first base runner of the afternoon. That'll keep it going now for J.D. Martinez. J.D. getting a chance to bat in the cleanup spot. Of course, the Tigers without Miguel Cabrera and Victor Martinez playing for Team Venezuela. And there was a bit of a concern last night as Miguel Cabrera had to come out of his game with Team Venezuela with a back problem. But according to Brad Ausmus, Omar Vizquel, who is managing that team, said he texted him and said, don't worry, he's all right. Just precautionary measures last night. That's fouled off the mask of Sanchez, 0-1.
Well, if you're Omar Vizquel, and obviously being an employee of the Tigers and having Miguel Cabrera on your roster, you know that he's going to err on the side of caution when it comes to Miguel Cabrera, and he's going to err on the side of caution with any of the Venezuelan players.
Well, Team Venezuela not playing as well as many thought they would, so Cabrera and Martinez may be headed back sooner than we thought to Tigers camp. Tigers without Ian Kinsler playing for Team USA. Joe Jimenez, the fine young reliever, Team Puerto Rico. 0-1 on J.D. Couple of homers this spring. He started very slowly, but has since come on. And I guess, Rod, if you had your choice, you'd rather start slowly and finish strongly in spring training than the other way around.
I think most players would agree with you on that fact. And with the WBC, of course, spring training about a week longer than it normally is. So the guys that did not go play in the WBC, it's going to be a long spring for them.
Swing and a miss. 1 ball and 2 strikes now on J.D. Martinez.
Yeah, huge hole on the right side of the infield for J.D. Martinez. That's exactly how most teams play him in the American League. They expose the right side of the infield, especially when he hits the ball on the ground. He's more of a pull hitter.
Castellanos goes. Ball will get by Sanchez. He can't locate it. And Nick will slide in safely at second base. Tigers have a man in scoring position now.
I had a feeling that Castellanos was going to get the green light from Brad. He's not known as a base stealer, but I saw Brad grab the stopwatch from Gene Lamont, the bench coach, which told me that maybe he's going to give him the steal sign just so he could see how fast Sanchez could throw that ball down to second base. And Gino has the stopwatch now.
Well, we'll see if Martinez can knock him home. Tanaka missing outside. Fill the count now. 3 balls and 2 strikes on J.D. Only 2 pitchers in the American League had a better ERA last year than Tanaka. Sanchez of the Blue Jays, Aaron Sanchez, and Justin Verlander. And then Tanaka third. Here's the 3-2. He checked it low, ball 4, and the Tigers have a pair of 2-out walks. That'll bring up Justin Upton. And by all accounts, Rod, it appears that Upton is picking up where he left off in September of last year. It was amazing to watch, but I think now in his second season with the Tigers, it's awfully good to see that he seems really comfortable.
Yeah, he appears to be in a really nice place right now. Of course, he did struggle for the first 4 months of last year, striking out a bunch, but the last 2 months, no one was better in the American League. Hit a bunch of home runs, drove in a bunch of runs, and man, he was hitting the ball a long, long way. He said the adjustment that he made was a simple one, though. He said he simply backed off the plate about 3 or 4 steps, which allowed him to extend the arms and which allowed him to get to a career-high 31 home runs.
He was also the poster child for mental toughness, being able to take those first 4 months of the year and push them aside. Swing and a miss. Big, healthy cut there from Upton. 31 homers, 87 driven in for Justin.
Second time that Upton has hit at least 31 homers in a season.
Upton looks at a ball outside, 2-1. So Tanaka's pitch count is starting to elevate as well.
Hey, one of the things that Justin Upton likes to do a lot of, he likes to hit off the tee. I mean, lots of guys have different ways of getting themselves ready for a game, whether it be soft toss, front side soft toss, side soft toss, or whether it's tee work. His preference is the batting tee.
Well, we hear that, and really even for kids at a very young age, hitting off the tee is one of the best things you can do. What is it about hitting off a tee that prepares you for game action?
Well, you can really perfect your swing. I mean, because the ball's just sitting there for you, so you can work on your mechanics. You can slow your swing down. You can speed your swing up. And then the muscle memory takes over by you taking so many swings, and you can really take a perfect swing off of a batting tee. It's harder to do in a game, but not that hard off of a tee. And once you continue to take those really positive swings, you can carry that over into a game. And I think that's why a lot of guys really like the tee, because it allows you to really slow the game down and work on certain things.
2-2 on Upton here with 2 outs. Tigers have a couple of walks in the first inning. And Upton strikes out swinging. Tanaka picks up his first strikeout of the ballgame. Tigers get a pair of walks, lead 2. We go to the second.
Fulmer just a few days ago, and he talked about what he's working on during the course of this spring training.
I'm just trying to refine everything. You know, I'm never really satisfied on how, you know, my performance goes. I know I can always do a little bit better. So I think, you know, this spring training I've been really working on fastball command and working on my direction toward home plate and my misses, not missing over the middle of the plate, but good misses off the plate away or off the plate in. So I'm happy with the way things are going in bullpen and games so far.
You know, you mentioned about fastball command, and that seems like that is always the key, really, not only for Fulmer, but any pitcher.
And it also allows you to build up your arm strength. And one of the things that Fulmer also shared with me that day is the fact that when he came to spring training last year, he came both guns a-blazing because he was trying to make a major league team. This year, he has a spot on the roster and the pitching staff. Therefore, he's able to come to spring training and work on certain pitches. Normally in a situation, he might throw a guy a fastball, he might throw a breaking ball, or he's allowed to work on certain things because he's been given that luxury from the staff.
You know, it's a good point. Is Ronald Torreyes stands in and pokes one on the ground to the shortstop, Machado, and 2 quick outs here in the second. But when you got Fulmer coming over not only from another organization and trying to make a big league team, I mean, he's got really no choice but to really come in guns a-blazing.
Well, he just wanted to make a statement. He wanted to make sure that they knew exactly who they were getting when they got him in that trade for Yoenis Cespedes, and they got a good one.
Well, with 2 outs now, here is Gleyber Torres, who is considered the top prospect in the Yankees system.
They say he can play in the big leagues right now. That's how good this young man is. He won the batting title in the Arizona Fall League this year, the youngest to ever win a batting title in the Arizona Fall League.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, there aren't too many 19-year-olds that walk into that league, the Arizona Fall League, and do what he did. That's in the air toward left. Upton is there, and it's going to be a nice, snappy 1-2-3 inning for Michael Fulmer. You're watching Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit, presented by Bell Tire. Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by Comerica Bank, a part of Detroit and the community since 1849. Dodge. Visit Dodge.com or your local dealer today. And by Weingarts, everything from lawn to snow. No snow here. Plenty of sunshine and alligators here in Florida. As we go to the Tigers' second, it'll be Alex Avila who leads it off and hammers the first pitch toward left field, straight at Brett Gardner. 1 pitch and 1 out. And we check in now with Mickey York, who I assume is having a pretty good time checking out the new digs here in Lakeland.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, Marv. If you haven't been here in a while like I have, you won't believe the changes. Over $50 million in upgrades, and it goes as far as the eye can see. And not only from a baseball operations standpoint, there's, of course, new office space for the Tigers executives. They have brand new training and weightlifting facilities, new clubhouses for both the Tigers and the visitors, a beautiful brand new scoreboard out there in left field with an entertainment pavilion, They even have a place called Margaritaville. What more could you ask? They've extended the bleachers down the left field line and to cover those, so it's great for all fans here in attendance, and great to come down and see this if you haven't done it in a while. There's still time left, by the way. Tigers about halfway through their spring training schedule, so plenty of opportunity to get down here and check out this beautiful weather. Guys, you have complained that it was chilly earlier today, but as a guy that just landed from Michigan, I take exception to that. You guys clearly have forgotten what it's like up north. Yeah. And if anybody else took exception to that comment as well, just a reminder, Mario and Rod can be found on Twitter.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks for that, Mick. Yeah. Hey, you just stay away from Margaritaville, okay?
It's St. Patrick's Day. It doesn't seem to have the same.
I don't think we're going to let Mick come back down to Florida again.
No, he's done. He's done. Thanks, Mick. Dominic Ficcicello, the batter here, with 1 out in the second. No score. Tigers and Yanks here this afternoon. Little bouncer back through the middle. And the shortstop, Torres. Safe at first base. Pulled him off the bag. Once it got by Tanaka, Torres had to back him up.
And Torres probably had more time than he thought he had here. We talked about the fact this guy's an electrifying player. He throws from down underneath, and because of the arm angle that he threw from, he pulled Bird off the bag, and that allowed Ficcicello to get in there safely. Ficcicello's had a nice spring, man. 3 homers, 8 runs driven in. He can play third. He can play first. A lot of these guys are getting a long look by Brad Ausmus and his staff, with so many of the Tigers' regular players playing in the World Baseball Classic right now, and Ficcicello is one of those guys.
That is one of the major advantages for the young players. And Ficcicello last year was at Double-A with a lot of the big-timers out, extended at bats.
He might end up going back to Double-A again because he only hit 5 homers last year and drove in 38. But with his last couple of spring trainings, he has played well while Brad Ausmus has been watching. And in the grand scheme of things, that's all that's important.
No doubt. Absolutely. Brett Pill has been getting an extended look as well. Pill batting only 185, though. Spent the last 3 seasons in Korea playing professionally there, and he had a ton of home runs there. Lifted foul, back out of play. 0-2 on Brett Pill. 61 home runs in his last 3 seasons in Korea, so we know he's got a little bit of power. He just has not been able to put it together this spring. He's hitting just 185. Now Tanaka with the 0-2. Bouncing ball left side of the infield. Headley will fire to second one. Relay is in time. The double play. That'll go 5-4-3, and the Tigers are done here in the second. No runs, an error, nobody left. On our way to the third in Lakeland. A scoreless game here in Lakeland. It's time now to plan your summer fun at Comerica Park. Individual game tickets for all Tigers home games on sale now. Visit Tigers.com or call 866-66-TIGER for more information. Get your Tiger tickets for the 2017 season. Brett Gardner starts it off for the Yankees now as we go to the top of the third. Fulmer had himself a really quick second inning, which he needed because he nearly threw 30 pitches in that first.
He made a really nice adjustment with the fastball command. He was able to command his fastball a whole lot better in the second frame.
Gardner is 0 for 1 in the game.
And Fulmer throws from the first base side of the rubber. You'll either see pitchers start on the side that he's starting on, which is the first base side, or some guys like to start on the third base side.
One and two. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Just off the plate, 2-2 now on Brett Gardner.
There's Fulmer. There's where he stands on the first base side of the rubber.
Low, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
A lot of 3-ball counts today for Michael Fulmer.
He had a ton of them in the first inning. Walked a couple of batters in that first.
Not nearly as sharp today as he was in the first couple of frames in his last outing against the Mets.
Here's the 3-2. Slice to center field. Tyler Collins in his tracks, 1 gone.
I was talking to Michael Fulmer the other day about where he stands on the rubber, and he kind of explained why he stands on the first base side.
A lot of righties on the third base side. I feel like with all my pitches, I do a better job of when the ball starts in the strike zone out of my hand and finishes out, as opposed to standing on the third base side, ball starts out of the strike zone and try to finish in. So I'm more of a guy who likes to, my release point is out here, and everything to the hitter starts in the strike zone. So that's where I get my most swings and misses, on sliders down or changeups down or even fastballs up.
You know, what Michael Fulmer is talking about there is very important, but the fact that you were looking really clean in that video, impressive to me. Really clean.
Well, Fulmer was kind enough, man, to give me 10 minutes.
Ellsbury bouncing one to first base, 2 gone.
Of talking about last year, talking about this year, talking about some of the things that he would like to accomplish going into the 2017 season. He's cut from a different cloth as far as I'm concerned. He's different than most young pitchers. I mean, this guy has an idea. He knows exactly what he wants to do, and it helps to have the kind of confidence and talent that he has. I like what he said. If he goes over to the other side of the rubber, then he tends to throw across his body. So whatever makes you comfortable on the mound. Nice slider there. He throws a couple different sliders, too. He throws one right there, a little sharp slider. He'll also spin some right off the fingertips, too, which act more like a curveball. First pitch slider to the very talented young batter, Gary Sanchez. Then he comes back with a fastball inside. See if he doubles up with another fastball here. A lot of times you want to throw some stuff just to see what the guy can hit, so you know when the season starts what not to throw. he did double up with the fastball inside, and Sanchez could not pull the trigger.
And as a result, the count 1 ball and 2 strikes. Swing and a miss. He struck him out.
I see you, Michael Fulmer.
Fulmer with back-to-back 1, 2, 3 innings. His second strikeout of the afternoon. Bottom three here in Lakeland. Still a scoreless ball game this afternoon. Mario and Rod back here at the ballpark. And Rod, we take another look at Michael Fulmer today. And really after that slow start, threw a lot of pitches, almost 30 in that first inning. His last two have been on points.
Fastball command was much better in the second and also the third frame. I'm sure Rich Doobie, the pitching coach, probably noticed something that he was doing in his delivery. He pointed it out to him. And as we've said with Fulmer, he's a guy that has a really nice, he's very smart, and he's able to pick up things very quickly. And I'm sure he was able to pick up whatever it was that Rich Doobie was saying to him, and he went out and had a couple good innings.
Definitely making some adjustments on the fly as Dixon Machado leads it off for the Tigers here in the third, facing Masahiro Tanaka. Chopper to the shortstop Torres. And Machado is out, one gone. Back up to the top of the lineup now, and Omar Infante. Well, Tanaka's going to be the ace of their staff. They still have the veteran CC Sabathia. They have Michael Pineda among the starting pitchers for the Yankees. But with the way Tanaka pitched last year, he certainly has earned ace status.
And those three guys that you mentioned, Pineda, also CC Sabathia, and Tanaka, they really have to be good this year, because beyond them, they've got some youngsters. They've got Sessa. They also have the young kid Severino. They've got some young guys that have a lot of talent, but they really haven't gotten it done at the big league level yet.
Here's Infante as he takes ball one high.
At age 35, Omar Infante is having himself an outstanding spring. It's going to be tough for him to make the Tigers roster, but he is definitely auditioning for the other 29 clubs.
You know, what makes Omar so impressive is that, as you mentioned, even at his age right now, he's in great shape. He's had himself a fabulous spring, but he's a guy that is one of those talents that can play center field and that can play infield positions as well, and you don't see many of those.
And he can play those positions well.
Yeah. Tigers have a few of those. Andrew Romine is also a very good center fielder and a terrific defender on the infield. That slice back out of play. Omar spent a lot of years here early in his career with the Tigers. 8 seasons in Detroit. He didn't make an all-star team until he went to the Atlanta Braves.
And one of the things that Omar has been very good at, and that's hitting fastballs. That's what has allowed him to stay in the major leagues for 16 years.
And a strike called. He's punched out of there by Mark Wegner.
I don't think Omar Infante liked that last strike call. And from Mark Wegner. Take a look at it. Yeah. Borderline. Looked like a little swing back fastball thrown there by Tanaka.
Second strikeout for Masahiro. Here's Tyler Collins. There are two guys in this camp, Rod, that strike me as having done a good job of kind of re-chiseling their bodies. Castellanos seems to be in tremendous shape. Here's the other one, Tyler Collins. He worked hard in the offseason on his agility. That's fouled back out of play.
That's a great point. He does look a lot slender than he did last year. Not that he was in bad shape last year, but he does look like he's moving a whole lot better.
Well, Tyler said he changed his diet in the offseason and worked on his agility and quickness, knowing that obviously he'd be coming into camp trying to win a position where you need some agility out there in center field. And his swung on and missed. For strike 3, Collins ran it out, but he's called out anyway, and it's going to be a 1-2-3 inning for Masahiro Tanaka. Couple of strikeouts, 3 in the books here in Lakeland. No score. Top of the fourth inning here in Lakeland, no score this afternoon, and 6-game flex plans are on sale now for as little as $105. You get 6 Tigers games of your choice. 313-471-BALL. Call that number today or visit tigers.com. Here come the Yankees now in the fourth inning. Michael Fulmer goes back to the hill and delivers strike one to Matt Holliday. Holliday, Bird, and Headley, 4, 5, and 6 in Joe Girardi's lineup. Fouled away 0-2.
With Alex Rodriguez and Brian McCann, Teixeira, and Beltran no longer wearing the Yankees uniform, that's one of the reasons why the Yankees went after and got Holliday, so they could have some veteran leadership in their clubhouse, a guy that's highly respected. He lockers right next to a lot of the younger outfielders in the Yankee clubhouse, and they say that he has been outstanding with a lot of their young players.
Well, regardless of whether or not you're going through a youth movement, which apparently the Yankees are to some degree, you still need some veteran leadership in your camp.
And he provides that.
Joe Girardi the other day saying that this is the most young talent that he has seen in his days with the Yankees in spring training. That's going to be a fair ball down the line. Holliday will head to second base, and he will pull in with a double. Leadoff two-base hit. That'll bring up Greg Bird.
You know, this is the second time that Joe Girardi pretty much has had to manage a team with some youth. I mean, his first opportunity to manage the Florida Marlins back in 2006, where he was manager of the year. He didn't have much of a payroll. That was Joe Girardi, and he managed a lot of young players on that Florida Marlins team. And he says he remembers how he managed then, and a lot of that has helped him with this young group he has here.
Bird looks at a ball high. 10th season as manager of the Yankees this year for Girardi.
He's going to have this kid Bird at first base. The kid Aaron Judge more than likely is going to be the right fielder. Sanchez, a very young catcher.
High fly ball center field. Collins cruising under it. Holliday tagging. He's going to try and lumber to third base, and he'll get there standing up. One gone.
Yeah, see if Brad wants to bring the infield in here. A lot of times during the course of spring training, you just like to create certain situations that you might do during the regular season, even though it's spring training, and especially with a guy that's running at third base. Holliday does not have good speed. Looks like they're going to play them, well, about halfway. Here they come now.
Right on cue. Nice call.
You know, Brad was talking today about his bench coach, Gene Lamont. And he said sometimes he's thinking about the pitching matchup or who might be in the bullpen for the other team, who might be coming in. And he says that's where the bench coach really comes into play. A situation like that, for instance, you might want to bring the infielders in because the manager can't see everything. And that's why you have to have a guy like a Gene Lamont sitting next to you that can help you. Brad also said that whichever managerial job he would have gotten, Gene Lamont was going to be his bench coach. Just so happened that Gene Lamont was already here with the Detroit Tigers. That's how fond Brad was of Gene Lamont when Gene Lamont was with the Houston Astros. They formed a really nice relationship.
Well, Gino, a lot of years in baseball, former manager of the year in his White Sox days, so he certainly knows a thing or two about managing, and so does the guy behind him, Lloyd McClendon, who is the Tigers hitting coach. We'll be joined by Lloyd next inning. That ball hit hard and fair down the right field line. That'll get a run in. Headley has extra bases. He's on his way to second, and he'll pull in with an RBI double.
Well, the two veterans with doubles. Yeah, Matt Holliday and Headley. Looked like a fastball that was outside, that good velocity, but Headley was able to get out to the outside corner and somehow get to that ball with enough bat speed to hit it right past. A diving pill.
6th RBI of the spring camp for Chase Headley, and the Yankees lead 1-0. Ref Snyder looks at a strike 0-1. Popped up in his first at bat, 0 for 1 in the ball game. No balls and 2 strikes. The Yankees with doubles from Holiday and Headley here in the 4th inning. And this on the heels of Michael Fulmer retiring 7 consecutive batters coming into the 4th.
Yeah, more than likely this will be Fulmer's last inning as well. He's about to throw his 58th pitch of the afternoon. Making his 4th start somewhere. They want to get you somewhere around 60, 65 pitches.
You know, we were talking about this last night at dinner and how the Tigers are trying to formulate their rotation going into the season. Obviously, Verlander will pitch opening day in Chicago. They have a 3-game series there. The question is, who pitches opening day in Detroit, and how do the Tigers decide that, and how they'll work their rotation in Chicago? That ball hit well to left center field. It's going to get down and get another run in. All the way to the wall. It's extra bases for Refsnyder. He's going to take the turn and hit for 3. The throw is held up. It is a triple and an RBI for Rob Refsnyder. Third extra base hit in this inning for the Yankees. That'll be it for Fulmer. Tigers go to the bullpen here in the 4th inning. It's a wall side windows pitching change. Yankees up 2-0. The Yankees have jumped out to a 2-0 lead here in the 4th. RBIs by Headley and Refsnyder, and Blaine Hardy coming out of the Tigers bullpen.
Yeah, last season Hardy split time between AAA and also the major leagues. Pitched 21 games in the big leagues. 3.51 ERA total for Blaine Hardy. One of the things that everybody likes about Blaine is the fact that he will throw strikes. He throws the ball over the plate with a fastball, cutter, curveball, changeup.
Raul Torres is 0 for 1 with a ground ball. That one is foul down the third base line. Tigers have the infield in here trying to cut that run down.
Torres more than likely will make the team as a utility player. He can play everywhere.
Oh, so close. There you go. Oh, 2. Way outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Torres.
And what do you think of the renovations here at Joker Marchant Stadium? And have you been all through the clubhouse and everything?
I have. Clubhouse, workout area. Yeah, it's really nice.
State of the art.
Tigers have been here in Lakeland a long time, and through the years they've upgraded this stadium, but it is top notch. Right back up the middle and into center field. A base hit out of the reach of Infante with the infield in. It cost the Tigers a run, and now 3-0 Yankees.
Yankees are playing some good baseball. They've got the best record of any team in spring training, 15-5, and normally I would not say that's a big deal. And this is always a tough play with the infield in. Ball hit sharply right back up the middle past the diving Omar Infante. But Mario, normally you wouldn't say spring training numbers mean a whole lot. But for a young team like the Yankees, and they do have a lot of young players, they couldn't have asked for a better spring because it builds a lot of confidence for these young kids.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I will play devil's advocate, though, in terms of their record. They do not have the amount of big-time players, I think, in the WBC that, say, the Tigers do, or some of the other clubs.
That's a great point.
But still, I mean, you pile up as many wins as the Yankees have with as many young players as they have. The hope is, for them at least, it transpires in the regular season. That's a deep to right field. Martinez under it. And J.D. hauls it in.
There were a lot of people that thought that the Yankees would finish under 500 for the first time. They really haven't finished under 500 in the last 2 decades.
Right.
That's how good they've been. And that they thought when they traded Aroldis Chapman last year, they also traded Andrew Miller last year at the deadline. This would be the year that they would fall underneath 500. But the young kids showed up and played well after they made those trades.
And that bullpen's still going to be pretty good. Chapman returning to the Yankees along with Ellen Betances. A couple of flamethrowers.
Tyler Clippard, not too bad in that bullpen as well.
Here is Brett Gardner. Gardner, fly ball and a ground out. Yankees have scored 3 here in the 4th. Tigers have several lefties in camp trying to make this club. Of course, Hardy is one of them. He was really good last year against left-handed batters. They hit 200 against him. That's it. That missed low and away. 2-0.
He'll cut the fastball on the inside part of the plate and the outside part of the plate. Nice little breaking ball. An occasional changeup thrown by Hardy.
2-1. There you go. It's what you want your lefty to do, and that's to hold opposing left-handed batters down, and only a 200 batting average.
That's right.
With Justin Wilson in camp, and he'll make the team. Didn't have quite the year that he wanted last year, but he should rebound. Just off the plate there, 3-1.
He's another guy that made some changes to his body in the offseason, Justin Wilson.
Yeah.
He came to spring training in outstanding shape.
Torres is chased back. Michael Fulmer started this game, was taken out here in the 4th inning after giving up 3 extra base hits. Popped up left side of the infield for Machado. To the outfield grass to make the play, and that'll be it for the Yankees. They scored first, though. A 3-run 4th for the Yanks. The Yankees lead at 3-0 as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning. And a reminder to get 8 Tigers games for just $49 with the Tigers April Digital Ballpark Pass. Has tickets for 8 home games in April for just $49. If you'd like to order the April Ballpark Pass, visit tigers.com/pass. Another sunny day, glorious day here in Central Florida from Lakeland. We're at Publix Field at Joker Marchant Stadium, and the Tigers have some work to do now, down by 3. They'll have the middle of their lineup, Castellanos, Martinez, and Upton facing Masahiro Tanaka. And Nick looks at a ball high, 1-0. Castellanos a walk in his first at bat. Tanaka had a couple of walks in the first, but aside from that, really not a whole lot going on for the Tigers. Skied foul back out of play.
And Castellanos making a fashion statement with the white shoes. Did you notice those?
I did, and I always wondered, you know, Lou Whitaker wore those every now and then. He wore them in the All-Star game one year.
For sure. And
I remember that he looked a whole lot faster. There you go. Gold plated too.
He's styling. Styling.
It's good to be a big leaguer, huh?
Absolutely.
Castellanos last year was able to hit 22 home runs, or make it 18 home runs, was on his way to probably his best season, and then broke his hand. He was hit by a pitch. Foul tip just got a piece of that one.
I didn't really notice what Castellanos is doing in the batter's box right now, opposed to last year. It looks like he's got a little Manny Ramirez in him. You see how he's standing in the batter's box up there, and the way he's starting and kind of wiggling that bat, it reminds me of Manny Ramirez, and I don't remember him doing that last year. He may have, but I've just noticed that. Speaking of Manny, what's he playing in Japan?
Yeah, did you see his contract?
Yeah, free sushi.
Free sushi.
As much sushi as he wants.
Who would think of that? There's a ball inside to Castellanos.
He's also got that limo deal like you have, take you around everywhere you want to go.
It's pretty sweet, man. I'll come pick you up for our next game.
I appreciate when you do give me a ride.
No sweat.
I really appreciate it.
Tanaka ready with the 2-2. Slap back out of play. When Tanaka pitched in his native Japan, he wore the number 18, and apparently 18 is given to the ace of the staff in Japan, which I never knew. Now, when he got to New York, Hiroki Kuroda was wearing 18, and Kuroda did not want to give it up. So he had to go for 19. So he's just one off the number given to the ace in Japan. Again, the 2-2. Checked it low, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Castellanos.
Second consecutive at bat that, for the most part, Castellanos has been able to lay off that split-fingered fastball that Tanaka likes to try to strike you out with. And it appears that that's a pitch that Tanaka is working on this afternoon. He's throwing a lot of them. Gonna come back with another one.
And Castellanos spoiled it. You know, the other thing you wonder about Nick Castellanos, Rod, is, you know, his defense, I think, has continued to improve year after year. Does there come a time, and is that time this year, where Brad leaves him in late in games, late in close games?
I think he's going to get closer to leaving him in closer games. Certain situations, but when you have guys on your bench like a Romine, you have a guy like a Machado, it could be a guy like Infante even. You don't know who the backup infielders are going to be. So you might as well put your best infielder in. And those 3 guys that I mentioned are probably better defenders than Castellanos. But I do believe what you said, that there are certain situations where there's a 3-run lead where Brad used to take him out of games. He might leave him in those games.
And the only reason I bring it up is because I think Nick now is sliding into, you know, as we talked about in his last at bat, that veteran kind of area where he's been around a few years now. He continues to put up good numbers, and I guess there's a psychological part of that as well coming out of a ball game.
This much we do know. He does not like to come out of games.
No, that's a good point. Nobody does, I guess, but Nick has worked hard on his defense. Tanaka trying to put him away. High pop-up down the right field line, sailing back towards the seats. 3-2, the count stays. Castellanos. Nothing better than getting a souvenir down in spring training.
On St. Patrick's Day.
This one will stay in play into medium depth right field. Ref Snyder circling under it, and Castellanos retired, one gone. Here is J.D. Martinez. Tanaka, I think, has been much more efficient in his pitch count today than Fulmer was.
Yeah, he's only thrown 49. That would be Tanaka about to throw his 50th pitch with one out here in the 4th inning. It's a big year for J.D. Martinez. He will hit the free agent market after this season is over. Are you surprised that there hasn't been a whole lot of talking about his free agent status? I mean, usually when a guy is about to hit the market, I mean, there's always some talk in spring training, and, you know, J.D. might say, or whoever that guy might say, well, we don't want to talk if we don't get it done during spring. We don't want to talk during the regular season. But there has really been no talk about J.D. Martinez and the fact that he's going to be a free agent.
No, it's a good point. There's been very little talk, really. There's a strike called on J.D.
And since he has put on a Tigers uniform, very few outfielders have been able to put up the kind of numbers that J.D. has put up. 23 homers in 14, then 38, then 22 last season after he missed some time with an injury.
Well, Tanaka took care of him there. Another strikeout, his 4th of the ball game. 2 gone. That'll bring up Justin Upton.
Here's that split-fingered fastball.
Nasty.
The bottom just falls out of that pitch for Tanaka.
Upton struck out his first time up.
Yeah, he struck Upton out on that same exact pitch, that splitter.
In there for a strike on the outer edge.
And for the most part last year, Tanaka threw the sinker 24% of the time. He threw the split-fingered fastball 25% of the time. And then he'd mix in a slider, a curveball, cutter. But for the most part, sinkers and splitters.
Tanaka, in his final season in Japan before he signed with the Yankees, he was 24-0.
Ooh.
He was undefeated.
How do you go 24-0?
Yeah, I don't care what league it is. Checked it outside. Tanaka wanted it, didn't get it. 1-2.
He doesn't throw as hard these days as when he first came stateside, but man, he's got some command, and he almost spotted that fastball in the outside corner for the 3rd strike.
Now the 1-2. Swing and a miss, and he got Upton. A 1-2-3 inning for Tanaka, 5 strikeouts. When we come back, we'll talk to the hitting coach. Lloyd McClendon will join us. Yankees on top 3-0 as we go to the top of the 5th inning now here at Joker March's Stadium. Mario and Pemba, Rod Allen, and that man right there, Lloyd McClendon, who is the hitting coach for the Detroit Tigers, joining us here for a little bit here in the 5th inning. And Lloyd, it's kind of like you never left. I mean, you spent a lot of years in spring camp here under various roles for the Tigers, and here you are now back with the ball club as a hitting instructor. How does it feel this spring? You never really left, did you?
Well, it feels that way. Obviously, I feel right at home, and the guys are working extremely hard, and we're progressing well.
Lloyd, is there something in particular that going into spring this year that you noticed from last year, maybe looking at some of the numbers or talking to Brad, that maybe you wanted the guys to work on as a team, like a certain two-strike hitting or anything like that?
Well, I mean, obviously the strikeouts stand out a little bit. Something that particularly runners in scoring position that we want to shore up. And one of the intriguing things is, I think we were 25th in doubles in the league. And, the type of offense that we have, heck, we should be in the, top 5 in doubles. So those are two of the things that we want to stress this spring.
Well, let's talk about some of the guys that we have noticed here this spring camp. We were just recently talking about Nick Castellanos, and now he appears to have kind of reshaped his body a little bit and has a different look to him this spring. How would you characterize his spring so far? Well,
he's in great shape. He's in a good place right now from a mental standpoint. Physically, swinging the bat extremely well, and he's got a nice routine, and I'm very pleased at where he is at this particular point.
Lloyd, you've managed in the big leagues. You managed in Pittsburgh. You also managed in Seattle. How much stock does a manager put into spring training? And the reason I ask that is a guy like Omar Infante, who's had an exceptional spring. Can you read too much into that, or him being a veteran player, you know what he's going to give you?
Yeah, I think he's probably a little different than most of the young players. He's a veteran guy that, has a nice track record. You know what he's capable of doing. So you trust those numbers a little bit more than you would a younger player.
How has the World Baseball Classic affected things here this spring, Lloyd, especially from hitting coach's perspective? Obviously, you're not worried about Miggy. You're not worried about Victor Martinez. But I would think that it at least gives you an opportunity to look at some of the other young guys in camp.
Well, it does that. But, I am concerned about our guys that aren't here, because if they're here, I know what type of work they're getting. If they're not here, then I'm a little concerned with the workload and whether or not they're getting the reps that they need to get from a routine standpoint.
How many at-bats, Lloyd, do most big league players like to have under their belt before they break to go north to start the season?
I think anywhere from 65 to 75 at-bats is sufficient enough to give you some rhythm and feeling good about where you are opening the season.
2 gone now for Matt Holliday. We're chatting with Lloyd McClendon, the Tigers hitting instructor. And Lloyd, one of the guys people talk about is Dixon Machado, who is starting here today, and people wonder if he can hit at the big league level. We know he's got the glove. What have you seen out of Dixon this spring?
Well, he's a player. He played extremely well for me at the AAA level. He's got great instincts for the game, and I don't think he's disappointed to this point in spring training. He's played extremely well.
No doubt Jacoby Jones is going to be a really good player for a long, long time, but can he do enough now against right-handers for you guys to possibly take him to the big leagues and allow him to play out there?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. I've always said Babe Ruth had to have his first at bat at some point, so I guess we'll figure that out.
Well, the count now 1 ball and 2 strikes on Matt Holliday. Fly ball and a double in this ball game. The Yankees got out to a 3-run lead in the 4th. Hardy's next pitch is fouled off the mask. Look out. 1-2 the count stays. Well, what about the center field position? What have you seen out of some of the guys out there, Lloyd? I know that Collins and Matuk has not had a particularly good spring with the stick, but how are you looking at that position now?
Well, I think all the guys that are out there that are competing are starting to turn it on and play extremely well for us, and are doing some good things for us. So, we're only halfway through the spring, and there's opportunities still left for somebody to step up and get it done.
Meanwhile, the count stays 1 ball and 2 strikes on Matt Holliday.
It must have shook up Mark Wegner pretty good.
He has gotten his bell rung a couple of times here this afternoon. Hardy now ready with the 1-2. Outside 2-2.
Lloyd, is any of the younger players that have come over from the minor leagues at any point in time, has anybody kind of caught your eye? The ball jump off anybody's bat?
You know, they haven't had really great opportunities. They may get in their bat here or there. So but they've done fine. They've done a nice job for us when they come over.
And so is Blaine Hardy, a 1-2-3 fifth inning. Lloyd, we appreciate it. Thanks for the time today.
Okay, guys. See you.
All right. Lloyd McClendon, the Tigers hitting coach. Still 3-0 Yanks. Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by Bell Tire. For tires and auto service, everybody needs a Bell Tire guy. And by the Michigan Office of Highway Safety Planning. Drive sober or get pulled over. That's beautiful Lake Mirror in downtown Lakeland. Another gorgeous afternoon here in Central Florida. The Tigers, well, they're down 3-0 here today as Alex Avila shows bunt on the first pitch from Tanaka.
Well, he's got third base wide open with the shift on Avila. They are playing him to the pull field, and there's no one down the third base line. And plenty of room for Avila to bunt down in that direction if that's something he'd like to do.
Here's the 0-1. Well, the data certainly indicates that Avila will pull the baseball. He has done that a lot in his career, and that's how the Yankees are playing him here, and that's how most defenses will play against Alex. It is awfully inviting with nobody standing at third base just to drop one down.
Yeah, good to see Alex back in a Tigers uniform.
In there, a strike called.
Hey, you wonder how Brad will use Alex this year. Obviously, he's going to be the backup, so he's probably going to catch one, maybe 2 games a week. But you just wonder whether he'll have one pitcher that he kind of works with. That's what a lot of managers like to do with their backup catcher. That gets them consistent reps. They know they're going to catch that game every single week.
You know, the other thing with Avila, Rod, is that even before he left for Chicago, he did all he could to make sure that he could help out James McCann as a young player, and he continues to do that now as a veteran.
Well, he's a quality individual. There's no doubt about that. And he's a great teammate.
One thing we do know, and Alex has always had a good eye at the plate, was always not afraid to take his walk. He's run the count now to 3-2.
And Tanaka has been throwing quite a few off-speed pitches today when he has fallen behind. Predictable fastball counts. He's working on his splitter. Wouldn't shock me to see another splitter here.
And Avila chops one to the first baseman foul.
And you have the luxury of working on certain pitches when you're a veteran. And like Tanaka, you know beyond a shadow of a doubt you're going to be the ace of the staff. You're going to start on opening day. And he's out there working on particular pitches. Results don't matter that much for guys like Tanaka, guys like Fulmer, Verlander.
And he got him strike 3. Avila caught looking. That'll be 6 strikeouts now for Tanaka.
Well, we told you that just a few days ago, the last start that Tanaka made against the Tigers, he punched out 7 that afternoon.
So the pitch count is 63 for Tanaka, and his afternoon of work is done.
He struck out 5 of the last 6 batters.
And so the Yankees will go to the bullpen. It's a wall-side windows pitching change here in Lakeland. 3-0 Yanks. The Yankees lead 3-0 here in the 5th, and Detroit Tigers spring training baseball is always live with the MLB.com at Bat mobile app. Stay connected with spring training radio broadcast, video highlights, stats, news, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat today. It's your #1 app for live baseball. St. Patty's Day being celebrated here in Lakeland as well. A lot of green here at the ballpark. Chasen Shreve is the new Yankees pitcher.
Yeah, Shreve made the opening day roster the last 2 years, 2015 and also 2016. 37 games, 2-1 record with a 5.18 ERA. He made 4 different stints between AAA and the big leagues last year.
Yeah, he was more of a fixture at the major league level a couple of years ago in 2015. Made 59 appearances, had a pretty good ERA, a little bit over 3.
Did a nice job with inherited runners. Only 2 of 18 of the inherited runners against Shreve scored last year.
Dominic Ficcicello, the batter for the Tigers. 2 balls, 1 strike on Ficcicello. Reaching on an error by the shortstop Torres in his first at bat. Tigers are still searching for their first hit here this afternoon. They've had a couple of walks and also a batter reaching on the air a little bit outside.
What do you think the way this Tigers team is shaping up this year, partner?
Well, I think we talked about this a little bit earlier. Not too many openings on this ball club. That ball hit hard right at the second baseman, Torres.
It knocked him over.
It did knock him over.
And good swing by Ficcicello, who's had another nice spring. And nice play by Torres. Yeah, I was having a conversation with the general manager, Al Avila, before the game today, and he said just that. I mean, there's really not many positions open. Of course, you got some decisions to be made with the 3 guys that are out of options. That would be Collins and Machado and Moya. You might have a bullpen spot here or there, but just not many, not a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, I will say this. I think as far as the 5 spot in the rotation is concerned, it looks like Matt Boyd has kind of separated himself a little bit for that spot. But we'll see. Sanchez pitched really well in his last outing after making a tweak to his delivery.
The future is awfully bright for the 3 kids in the Tigers rotation. That would be Fulmer, Norris, and also Boyd. I mean, you've got 3 guys that could end up being, front of the rotation type guys as they mature.
I would agree.
And the one guy that's really taken a positive step forward is Boyd. Boyd is pitching with tremendous confidence. Daniel Norris has always been talented, and you saw what Fulmer was able to do last year when he was given a chance.
Brett Pill, the batter here with 2 outs. Well, I don't think there's any concern about the rotation, nor should there be, when you've got a guy like Verlander at the top, and hopefully that Jordan Zimmerman is healthy and can get back to the type of guy we saw at the first half of last season.
And they were really encouraged by what Anibal Sanchez did in his last outing. He pitched 4 innings and he dropped his arm slot, and he was pretty good.
Hill strikes out. Tigers go 1-2-3. We are headed to the 6th. Happy St. Patty's Day from Lakeland today. The Yankees on top 3-0, and we remind you this copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Detroit Tigers and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Detroit Tigers and Rod Allen. Got to get clearance from Rod as well. Drew Verhagen is on the mound now for the Tigers.
Interesting. Drew Verhagen is going to be a starter again this year. More than likely he's going to start the season down in Toledo as a starter, but we watched him pitch in the big leagues the last couple of years, and he has not pitched all that badly. Last year was injured. Numbers aren't good, but the year before that he was really good.
Yeah, you got to throw last year out. He had the thoracic outlet syndrome and the surgery that goes with that. First one home is a strike called on Greg Bird.
Initially, Verhagen was a starter in the Tigers system, but when he came to the big leagues, they started using him as a reliever.
That one darts slow, 1 ball and 1 strike.
Good velocity with that last fastball at the bottom of the strike zone, 93 miles an hour on the radar gun.
Verhagen made the opening game roster for the first time in his career last year. That ball hammered down the right field line. It is hooking, and it is foul.
Almost up into Margaritaville.
Yeah.
What do you got on those colorful chairs out there in Margaritaville?
Like
you digging that?
Very nice. I like color.
We might have to go out there and sit one day. You and I go check out a game out there in Margaritaville. They got a couple of chairs out there for us, looks like.
You buying?
Yeah. Buy your water.
That's not what I had in mind, Rod. Got your floppy hat out there. It's your margarita. Verhagen steps off. It'll be Bird and then Headley and Refsnyder due up. That'll bounce in all the way to the backstop. Two balls, two strikes. Verhagen was placed on the DL in June last year. 2015 was that really good year for Verhagen. A ERA a little bit over 2, pitching out of the bullpen for the Tigers. That one straightens him up. Tigers also trying to build some depth, I think, in the minor leagues as well in the starting rotation, and Drew gives them yet another guy that could be summoned in case a starter is needed. 6'6", 230. Way high.
That's one of the things the Tigers are really going to concentrate on moving forward, and that's trying to gather as much depth as they possibly can in the minor league system.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And you know, we've often talked about, what was it? It was a couple of years ago where the Tigers needed just 5 or maybe 6 starting pitchers the entire season.
Yep.
And that just doesn't happen very often.
Not very often.
Chase Headley, the batter. Rolled foul 0-1 on Headley. RBI double back in the 4th.
And when Verhagen's right, I mean, he can really sink the fastball. Power sinker, about 93, 94. That's exactly what he's looking for here. He's looking for a ground ball.
It's going to be interesting to see what decisions the Tigers make, and you touched on this a little bit earlier in terms of the bullpen. Really, you've got, I guess, a few definites at the back end of that pen. Of course, Frankie Rodriguez will be the closer again this year for the Tigers. Swing and a miss.
Nice pitch. Well, if you think about it, I mean, they've got Frankie Rodriguez, and they've got the 2 Wilsons, and Justin and Alex. They have Rondon. They have, who else back there?
Well, they got Blaine Hardy. They got Kyle Ryan. I mean,
Kyle
those are guys that pitched well last year.
Joe Jimenez. Jimenez.
Swing and a miss. Dustin. Headley is out of there. 1 gone.
And starting to see more and more pitchers with that fastball, throwing it upstairs right by a lot of big league hitters. That seems to be the new pitch of choice, the elevated fastball. I think what has happened in the last couple of years, Mario, with the umpires, that they are being scrutinized so much on balls east to west in the strike zone that very seldom are they giving the pitches off the outside corner or off the inside corner. So what a lot of pitchers have started to do, they've started to go east and west in the strike zone, mostly up in the strike zone to get their swings and misses for their waste pitches, and a lot of hitters just can't lay off that pitch.
You mean north and south?
North and south.
Yeah. Well, we've seen Verlander do that to a T. I mean, he's really become adept at doing that. Of course, it helps to have the stuff, but you know, I think a lot of the younger pitchers are noticing that. Even Fulmer said that you know, Verlander's been very good at that.
Yeah, there used to be a time where as a pitcher you would know exactly what kind of umpire you had. Is he a low ball umpire? Will he give you the ball inside? Will he give you the ball off the plate outside? But nowadays most umpires are pretty much the same. They're not giving you the strikes off the plate inside or outside. Not with regularity.
Rolled foul by Refsnyder. I think initially a lot of the success of that high fastball has something to do with, over the years, you know, what do pitching coaches teach you? Low and away, low and away, low and away.
Right.
And all of a sudden when you change the eye level, you know, it's something new for the hitter to see.
It looks good.
It looks really good. Yanks on top, 3-0. And Verhagen misses in the dirt to Refsnyder.
It's a nice job there by Avila, getting down to block that ball. And making sure that Bird stays anchored at first base.
It was Verhagen that earlier this spring returned to the rotation on his request. He had asked the Tigers to put him back in the rotation this spring and work as a starter to give the organization a little bit more depth at Toledo. And, you know, he pitched so well out of the bullpen in the major leagues, but you got to believe he still has that ability to start at the major league level. Again, the 2-2, and it's inside. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Well, the Tigers said, yeah, all right, let's work in as a starter here this spring.
And by running the count to 3-2 against Refsnyder, that's going to allow Bird to take off from first base if Joe Girardi wants to start him on the pitch. Try to stay out of the double play.
Runner goes, and it's ball 4. Second walk in the inning now for Verhagen. There's Ronald Torreyes. It'll bring Avila out to the mound. Have a little confab now with Drew.
How about the rest of the division? Everybody thinks that the Cleveland Indians are the team to beat in the division. No doubt they had a superior season a year ago, and they're very, very talented. But you still have to go out and play the games.
Yeah, I'm not ready to give it to them. I mean, obviously they improved their team a little bit by acquiring Encarnacion. As you look at the standings last year, you got to believe the Tigers will play a little bit better at the very minimum against Cleveland this year.
Oh, they will not. They won't go 4-14 against Cleveland this season.
I would be stunned to see that happen. So you straighten those numbers out a little bit, and it's a much different division. Torreyes knocks it foul, 0-1.
And that's that hard turbo sinker that Verhagen features on occasion. That last one at 93, right off the foot of Torreyes.
RBI single back in the 4th for Torreyes. The Yankees got all 3 of their runs in the 4th inning. Line drive to center field, right at Collins. Romine is now in center field, not Collins.
Romine snuck in there on us.
And there are 2 gone now. Interesting how the Tigers have had Romine out in center field. They've had Infante play some center field as well.
The Tigers,
the other guys.
You know, we were talking about Infante, and one way for Infante to possibly make the roster is if they have Romine as the backup outfielder. If he makes the team as a backup outfielder, that allows them to take another infielder, and that would allow them to take Machado and also Infante. Those decisions are still about 10 days away, but they've got some options. And the only reason why I say that is because Infante is playing so well right now.
Right. Gleyber Torres is 0 for 2. Couple of fly balls. 1 to left, 1 to right. Whistled foul down the left field line. Look out down there.
Of course, the Tigers had Cameron Maben playing center field for them last year, and Cameron did a nice job for the Tigers. Scored a lot of runs, hit well, played really well at home, and when healthy. He did miss some time with injuries. I saw Cam out in Arizona. He's happy playing for the Angels now.
Maben provided the ball club with a lot of energy at the top of that lineup. You know, they started him, he was batting 7th or lower in the lineup, and all of a sudden he caught fire, and he was batting 2nd for most of the season behind Kinsler.
The team won a lot of games when Maben was in the starting lineup.
But you bring up a good point in that he was oft injured, and so keeping him in the lineup became a bit of a challenge. Torres fouls it off behind home plate. 2 balls and 2 strikes on the talented shortstop of the Yankees, their top prospect.
Pretty big swing there by Torres on the 2-1 fastball.
Inside, 3-2 now. Gleyber Torres gets asked the question a lot, where does the first name Gleyber come from? And Torres says, I don't know. I've asked my dad that question many times, and even he doesn't know.
Oh, that's not good.
He just says, I like Gleyber, so I'm naming my son Gleyber. All righty.
Said he asked Dad. Dad doesn't know. Well, you might as well ask Mom, Dad.
Exactly. 3-2. 2 on, 2 out for the Yanks here in the 6th inning. And there's ball 4. That's going to load the bases. 3 walks in the inning now. We check in with Mickey York. What's going on, Mick?
Hey, guys, just to follow up on your center field conversation, I mean, you're right. There's still no clear-cut front runner for the position yet, but you talk to people down here, and the guy that continues to flash is Jacoby Jones, but the prevailing thought is that if Jones is going to end up being their center fielder, he's going to have to win that position outright. He's done a lot of things to put himself in the conversation, but the Tigers don't want to just platoon him. So if it's going to come down to a platoon, he more than likely will start the season in Toledo. But if somehow he can separate himself from the pack here with the remaining few weeks of spring training, then it's conceivable he could be in the opening day lineup for this team.
Yeah, he's got a couple of weeks to do so. And I think, Rod, the one thing he does add to this team is youth, really young legs, and a little bit of excitement as well. So that's one thing he has going for him, obviously, aside from his skill.
The biggest concern for the Tigers regarding Jacoby Jones is whether he'll hit enough against right-handed pitches. They don't want to bury him against really good right-handers in the big leagues, and they don't want to ruin him. I mean, sometimes young kids, if they struggle a lot against right-handed pitching, when you send them back to the minor leagues, they're just not the same. They'd rather err on the side of caution, start him in the minor leagues, and then call him up when he's hot. But there's no doubt that he's going to play in the big leagues, and he's going to play in the big leagues for a long time.
Well, I think we saw enough of him, at least early on when he got to the big leagues, to know that he can play at this level. It's just refining his skills. I mean, the first couple of games he had 2 hits in each of his first 2 games.
And then they started dropping that Uncle Charlie on him, that slide piece.
I remember it specifically going to Kansas City, Danny Duffy. Danny Duffy dropped a couple of breaking balls on him. And it was lights out.
It was.
Brett Gardner, the batter. And he'll look at a strike from Verhagen. So it's been a bit of a long inning here for Drew. 27 pitches. Gardner is 0 for 3. Ground ball, pop up, and a fly ball. Swing and a miss. And Verhagen comes back to get the strikeout. They will leave him loaded. We go to the bottom of the 6th. Here's our Comerica game summary. The Yankees on top of the Tigers here, 3-0 as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Your thoughts, Rod, on both Tanaka and Fulmer today?
Well, Tanaka pitched well. And 4 1/3, did not give up a hit. Walked a couple, had 6 strikeouts. Fulmer, first inning was a little erratic. Then he went out and pitched very well. After that, he gave up 4 hits. Did give up 3 runs, 3 extra base hits today. But it looked like Fulmer was working on spotting that fastball and also working on his breaking ball this afternoon.
So the Tigers have some work to do here in Lakeland as we go to the bottom half of the 6th inning. Another wall side windows pitching change, and the Yankees have a new lefty on now. It's Jordan Montgomery.
And AAA numbers on Montgomery outstanding. In 6 starts, he was 5-1 with an earned run average that was under 1 over 102 innings pitched for. Montgomery.
Double-A and Triple-A last year. Really had a good season when you combine the numbers in both stops.
Well, he's going to be around the plate. Only 9 walks in 102 innings. So if you're Dixon Machado, be ready for that first pitch fastball.
Machado tried to hold up, couldn't do it.
He threw him a breaking ball and he bounced it and he swung at it.
And Dixon behind in the count 0-1. He's 0 for 1 in the ball game. Tigers don't have a hit today as we play here in the 6th. A little bit high, and the count goes 1 ball and 1 strike. It's funny to hear, not funny, but great to hear what Lloyd had to say about Machado. He has come to camp. He has played extremely well, and I guess the term he used is he's a player.
He's a baseball player.
We know he can pick it.
There are a lot of teams that Machado could play shortstop for. Unfortunately for him, the Tigers have an outstanding shortstop in Iglesias, but there's no doubt that defensively his hands and his feet work well enough that he could be a good big league shortstop. The only thing that has held him back is his bat. But he's gotten so much stronger the last 3 years that he's come to spring training. I mean, he kind of looks like a big leaguer now, where remember a few years ago we was trying to get him to spend his meal money.
He's got a different physique, to be sure. He first came up in 2015. Here's the 3-2 pitch. And Machado sends a ground ball deep at third, foul.
And down there by Laz Diaz. Down at the third base umpiring post right now.
You know, we've had this umpiring crew for quite a while now. These guys must be just based here in Lakeland. There's Laz at third.
I think Joe West kind of liked Lakeland.
Yeah, Cowboys thinking, I don't want to go anywhere.
Let's have him a gig somewhere at one of the nightclubs.
That's in the air to center field. Not hit deep. And a diving, sprawling play out in center field. So Machado has a base hit taken away. One gone.
Yeah, nice recovery here to make that play. Initially broke back on that baseball.
Tyler Wade with a nice play out there in center. Omar Infante, the batter. You know, we're talking about the umpires, and Rod, we recently lost Russ Getz, who passed away earlier this week at the age of 86, a former American League umpire, and he was around a long, long time. Again to center field, and this time caught in short right center for out number 2. Here's Joe West. He's been around a long, long time, but Russ Getz umpired over 2,300 games. In fact, his first game was in '86 at Tiger Stadium. But, you know, you look at guys like Joe West that have been around a long, long time, and it's a really tough job. I mean, you've got people on you every single night, and, you know, the travel and everything that goes with it. Here's Romine, his first at-bat of the game.
During the spring training games, the umpire, in this case Mark Wegner, he will stay behind the plate the entire game, but the other 3 umpires, they will rotate different positions every 3 innings during the course of the game just to get themselves ready for spring training. It's amazing how everybody needs spring training. You know, Wegner was saying he was down in Miami for the World Baseball Classic, and he said that the game was so fast for him. He says he needs spring training too as an umpire, and he said guys were throwing 96, 97, 98 miles an hour, and he wasn't quite ready for that. So umpires also need to get themselves ready to gauge the fastballs and the strikes and the balls as well.
0-2 on Romine. Soft line drive, and a leaping play at short. Oh, Romine had a hit taken away. Soft liner off the end of the bat. And a 1-2-3 inning for Montgomery. D is right around the corner, and what better way to mark an amazing month in Detroit sports by taking a run through our city streets. Sign up for Fox Sports Detroit's I Ran the D 5K Run Walk. You can register now at foxsportsdetroit.com. Take part in the I Ran the D.
You're going to run that, right?
I might walk it. I might crawl it.
I hear you, brother. I hear you.
Got a new pitcher now.
Pretty good year.
Ruben Alanese.
Pretty good year in Double-A last year for Ruben. He had 34 games, 4-3 record, outstanding ERA, average day strikeout per inning.
So Alanese will get some work here in the 7th inning. And the right-hander delivers home. Foul straight back 0-1. Wade will lead things off. Made a nice sprawling play out there in center field.
He sure did. And 5 homers, 27 RBI last year for Wade in Double-A.
Alanese, one of the young guys, or one of the guys. He's 25 years old, so I guess you could still qualify him as being a young guy in this game. But spent 6 years in the minor leagues with the Astros. Has opened up some eyes here in Tigers camp. And he just missed dotting the outside corner. Ruben last year averaged 9 strikeouts per 9 innings.
That's pretty good.
Really good. Between Erie and Toledo. Wade shoots one on the ground and through. A base hit. Gonna take the turn and go for 2. And he's got himself a double.
Great hustle here by Wade. As soon as this ball got past the second baseman, he was thinking 2. He got bound to first base, made a real nice turn, and got himself a hustling double.
So a leadoff 2-base hit. That is the 6th hit of the ball game now for the Yankees. Tigers still in search of their first knock of the game. That's rolled foul. Hey, let's check in with Mickey York now, standing by with Alex Avila.
All right, Mario, thank you very much. Of course, Alex back with the Tigers after a year away in Chicago. What did that year away do for your perspective of being a Tiger, and how good was it for you to see something else out there in your baseball?
Well, I mean, I had, you know, my whole career being with Detroit. There was obviously a lot of things I got used to being on one organization. So going to Chicago, there was, you know, they do some things differently, as all organizations do. So it took some time to get used to. But, you know, I enjoyed my time there. I enjoyed living in that city. And, you know, there were a lot of good people that work over there. Made some good friends. So, but I'm glad to be back in Detroit. I mean, it was like I never left.
Well, this place here, that was a little bit different from the last time you saw it.
Big time, big time. There's, I'm glad I actually get to be back and enjoy it. Where, you know, spending, you know, 7 years in the old digs. So, you know, it's been nice. It's been, you know, great being able to experience the new facilities. I think now when we go to Detroit, we'll be a little disappointed.
It's that nice. It is a beautiful facility. I'll tell you that the rumors up north, and there is already concern about the pitching staff up there. You've seen it all this spring. Can you put some minds at ease?
Well, I mean, you know, I think, you know, the guys, that, you know, you have a pretty good idea of who's going to be there. You know, I'm seeing what I need to see out of them. You know, and, you know, it's part of spring training. I think at times, you know, you can make too much of results in spring training. I've seen a lot of times, you know, hitters will look like Babe Ruth in spring training and, you know, can't hit, and vice versa. So, you know, same thing with pitchers. And, you know, part of spring training is getting back into that baseball shape. And, you know, once April 3rd comes around, you know, everything will be zeros across the board. So, but guys are getting the work in, you know, and guys are, you know, they're learning from the results that are taking place throughout the game, good or bad, and trying to make adjustments and getting back into that baseball shape.
You look good in green. What's a fine Irish lad like yourself do with the rest of St. Patrick's Day?
Really nothing. Just go back to the place and just get something to eat, and that's it. I got family coming in town this weekend.
So boring, so boring. All right, Alex, thank you very much. Mario, Rod.
All right, Mick, thanks. And the words of Alex Avila, who obviously is glad to be wearing Tigers colors again. The organization he grew up in.
It's like he never left.
No. 1 year with the Chicago White Sox, that's it. Yanks batting here in the 7th. The runner at second base and 1 out. That is popped up. Shallow center field, and it's going to drop, base hit. Upton tried to make a sliding play out there and left, but just couldn't quite get there. Meanwhile, Wade held at second base.
And right off the end of the bat, off of the bat of Castillo. And by the time Upton got in, left his feet, short hopped it, not able to make the play.
So Choi will step in now with 2 on and 1 out. Wade decided not to advance to third. Wasn't sure if that ball would be caught or not. Here is Ji-Man Choi. And Alanis missing outside.
Alanis appears to have a pretty nice sink to his arm side on that low 3/4 arm slot delivery. And the skipper must have noticed something.
Brad coming out. Alanis gave up a base hit, struck out the next batter, Higoshi Choa, and now Castillo with a single to put 2 men aboard. One ball, no strikes on Choi. Ruben Tejada has moved to the on-deck circle. Most of the starters out now for Joe Girardi.
Yeah, the only one that is still in is Brett Gardner.
Lifted in the air toward left field. Upton slicing toward the line is there. 2 gone. That'll bring up Ruben Tejada now. Tigers, after getting off to a slow start this spring, have won their last 4 decisions. They are trailing here, though, 3-0. Yankees 15 wins this spring, the most of any ball club in either the American or National League. Hicks able to knock that one down. 1 ball and no strikes. The Yankees got all 3 of their runs in the 4th.
It's a nice breaking ball there thrown by Alanis. It's the second time he has started the breaking ball right at the right-handed batter. That batter gives up on that ball and it catches the inside corner. And from the arm slot that he throws from, you don't get much depth with your breaking ball. It's more east to west in the strike zone. More of a slur.
There's the 1-1. Popped up. First base side. And that'll end the inning. No runs, couple of hits, 2 men left. Time to stretch here in Lakeland. to the 7th inning here in Lakeland, 3-0 in favor of the Yankees. And fans, it's the steal of spring with the spring sweepstakes, where you can win an Enduro Series lawn tractor. Enter online at foxsportsdetroit.com now for your chance to win the steal of spring sweepstakes. Well, the Tigers are still looking for their first hit this afternoon, and what has turned out to be a spectacular day.
They're still looking for the first knock?
We have a goose egg up there in the H column.
Well, Castellanos will do something about that right now.
Okay, if he can't, J.D. Martinez is going to back him up. And then Justin Upton as we play here in the 7th inning. And Jordan Montgomery is out there for his second inning of work for the Yankees. Big, tall lefty. And Castellanos sends a ground ball to short. 1 pitch and 1 out. Here in the 7th. That'll bring up J.D. We were talking about this a little bit earlier, the rest of the American League Central. We know the Indians are going to be good.
Right.
I know Kipnis is a possibility he might start the season on the DL, but regardless, they're a very good team. You know, Chicago obviously rebuilding mode, Minnesota rebuilding mode, KC maybe taking a step back, who knows. So it's going to be interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, Minnesota, they're having another good spring this year, and they're not going to be as bad as they were last year. I think some of those young kids like Rosario and some of the other kids they have in Minnesota, they're going to have some pretty good years this year. They're not going to be a pushover in the American League Central. Kansas City also is a very good team. They've still got outstanding players. It's going to be crucial for them to get off to a really good start, because with so many pending free agents coming up, the Hosmers of the world and some of the other players, Dayton Moore might be forced into trading 1 or 2 of those players at the trade deadline if they're not in it.
That is slicing foul back out of play.
It's going to be interesting, though, because everybody's talking about the Cleveland Indians, and rightfully so, but they don't quite know what they're going to get out of Michael Brantley still.
True.
I mean, his injury is one that is a serious injury. He hasn't played yet.
He's starting to play in some minor league games, but that is far from participating in a major league game, especially in the regular season.
Yeah, you talked about Kipnis. He's going to start the season on the disabled list. There's no more Napoli, but of course you would expect Encarnacion, who they signed as a free agent, will put up the same kind of numbers as Napoli did, but his clubhouse presence will be missed.
But here's the thing with Cleveland. They did a lot last year with a couple of the members of their starting rotation banged up, especially late in the season. I think Terry Francona did a terrific job of getting that rotation through those injuries.
He did. He's one of the best managers in the sport. He showed that during the course of the postseason, especially the way that he used Andrew Miller down the stretch. And then during the regular season, he got a lot of managers thinking about using some of their pitchers the same way that he used Miller.
Two balls and 2 strikes. J.D. Martinez. Rolled foul. Justin Upton will be next. Tigers have not threatened much here this afternoon. They had a couple of walks against Tanaka in the first, but couldn't score. And there are really not too many base runners. An error back in the second. That's about it. Tanaka was awfully good today for the Yankees. Pounded foul back out of play again by Martinez.
Huge crowd here today. Probably the best crowd of the spring so far.
Yeah, they've had some big crowds all spring long here, and a lot of folks now are able to watch the ballpark from out in center field, where they can stand, lean against the railing.
I mean, there's standing room only around here today.
J.D. fouls off another.
Publix Field at Joker Marchant Stadium.
This ballpark has transformed itself into being the place to be here in Lakeland, and Tigers' affiliation with the city of Lakeland goes back a long, long way. It'll bounce in.
80 years, doesn't it?
80 plus. Of course, they spent some time playing at Henley Field down the road, but many of those years here at Joker Marchant Stadium. Three and 2 the count. Swing and a miss. JD is gone. 2 outs, 5 in a row, retired by Montgomery since coming aboard. How about some key dates for the Tigers early on in the season? Of course, the Tigers start in Chicago, and how about that opening series against the Red Sox?
4 games against the Red Sox, when the Tigers get home. Some key dates against the Indians. Of course, we talked about the fact that last year the Indians went 14-4 against the Tigers.
Yankees make only 1 trip to Comerica Park, and that is in the month of August. Justin Upton batting here. Jay up, tough day so far. A couple of punch outs, 0 for 2. Two 2-0 the count on Upton. That's in there for a strike. You know, we talked about the adjustments J-Up made at the plate. They've also tinkered with him in the outfield this spring as well, rather. They moved him in a couple of steps, perhaps not playing as deeply as he was last year.
Yeah, I did read that, and I would imagine that one of the reasons why they want him to play a little bit more shallower is to take away those little bloop singles. He drilled that thing.
Oh, an absolute rocket.
Get the married men off the infield.
Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by Comerica Bank, a part of Detroit and the community since 1849. Your Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. Visit ChevyDetroit.com. See why Chevy drives the Motor City. Wallside Windows. We can do that. We are the factory. And by Weingarts. Everything from lawn to snow. Back here at Publix Field at Joker Marchant Stadium in Lakeland, Florida on a sunny afternoon. It's been all Yankees. The Tigers, you see that correctly, do not have a hit as we go to the top of the 8th inning. And we've got a new pitcher coming on now. Chad Bell will throw for the Tigers.
And last season, he spent time in the Texas Rangers organization pitching in AAA. He also pitched in AAA for the Tigers last year, and a combination of 11-4 with a 3.29 ERA. And because of those really good numbers, the Tigers purchased his contract on November 4th.
So McKinney leads it off now for the Yankees.
They like his skill set. His name was a name that was kind of bannered around before spring training started as a possible guy to be a left-hander pitching out of the bullpen for the Tigers this year. They like his arm strength.
Bell was acquired by the Tigers from Texas last May. Bobby Wilson, the catcher, went the other way. And the Tigers promoted him to the 40-man roster this winter.
Good breaking ball.
He'll get it out with it. One gone, 3 unassisted. Retires McKinney.
The second baseman, Donovan Solano.
Outstanding pitch here at the bottom of the strike zone, a breaking ball down and away. And the one thing that you have to do when that ball's hit to the right side of the diamond as a pitcher, you must get over to first base. Bell did a nice job of getting over there.
Donovan Solano will step in now for the Yankees. Tigers today started with Fulmer. Blaine Hardy pitched. Drew Verhagen. Alanis, and now Bell. Oh, and 1 on Solano. Chad Bell got to the big leagues from Walter State Community College in Tennessee.
How about that? Walter State Community College. If you can play, they will find you.
They will indeed. There are many roads to the major leagues. Bell had Tommy John surgery in 2013. At one point, he was a really good prospect with the Texas Rangers, climbing their ladder very quickly. Rolled to third base. Ryan deep behind the bag. 2 gone.
He's got a nice little bender. He's thrown some real nice breaking pitches here in this inning.
The shortstop, Pete Cosma.
Here's Pete Cosma. Cosma batting with 2 outs here, nobody on. Tigers down 3-0. Cosma, former St. Louis Cardinal, 5 seasons with the Cards. And you're looking to strike in the outer edge.
That's a well-located fastball there, thrown by Bell at 93 miles an hour.
And you can see why Bell at one point was a very highly thought of prospect with Texas.
Firm fastball anywhere from 91 to 95. Nice curveball.
He had such a good year last year at Toledo. The Tigers promoted him to the 40-man roster last winter. And 10 wins at Toledo. Pull on the ground to third. Ryan has that one there. And it's going to be a 1-2-3 inning here in the 8th for Chad Bell. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Yankees leading 3-0 as we go to the bottom of the 8th inning here at Publix Field at Joker Marchant Stadium. Menards brings you the big money encounter on St. Patty's Day here in Lakeland. And how about the Yankees pitching staff today?
Yeah, well, they haven't given up a hit, which means they haven't given up a run, and they have 8 strikeouts, majority of those by Masahiro Tanaka, who started for them. He punched out 6 Tigers. And Joe Girardi is sitting comfortable over on his chair over there. 10th season as a manager for the Yankees. Where's time gone?
10 of them. His contract is up at the end of the year, so it'll be interesting to see how they do this season. Montgomery back out there for the Yankees. John Hicks gets his first at bat, looks at a strike, 0-1. It's popped up foul, first base side, maybe room. There is. And Hicks is out of there, one gone. Here's Brendan Ryan. You were talking earlier, Rod, about the fact that with the WBC spring training a little bit longer this year, typically there's that tipping point where players are like, all right, I've had enough. Do you think they've gotten to it sooner this year?
They are there. They've gotten there already. And so the guys will go out and get their work in for the next week or so, next 7-8 days. In that last week, I mean, when all your players come back, the WBC will be over. You get all your players back together. Then I think teams will really start to hone in on what they want to accomplish during the regular season when they kind of get all their players back. The Yankees really didn't lose that many players. I mean, Didi Gregorius, obviously their shortstop, is not here today. He's playing with the Netherlands.
I think Tyler Clippard is with Team USA.
Starlin Castro, their everyday second baseman, but I don't think he's playing in the WBC. He must have just had a day off today. The Yankees will field a team this year where they will have only 2 players in their starting lineup that are over 30 years old. That would be Ellsbury, that would be Gardner, and also Holiday, who will be their DH. But everybody else, they're very young.
It'll chopper back up the middle. And Ryan is out, 2 gone. Well, last year the Yankees' average age was 29, which was their youngest average age since 1992.
And they had A-Rod, and they had Beltran, and they had Teixeira, and they had Brian McCann. So they had some veterans.
Their spring training camp this year is just chock full of young players that the Yankees have taken a good long look at. Here is Efrain Navarro.
And Navarro, he played in the WBC for Mexico, so he just got back.
Oh, and 1 on Navarro. That'll slide in for a strike, make it 0-2. The Tigers this afternoon have had only 3 base runners the entire day. 2 walks and 1 reaching on an error. And really, for a ball club that has started to pick up the pace offensively, the Tigers have been shut down here this afternoon. Here's the 1-2. Swing and a miss. Navarro is out of there. The Tigers go 1-2-3. You're watching Tigers baseball, presented by Bell Tire. The Yankees on top 3-0 as we go to the top of the 9th inning. In this one, Michael Fulmer made the start a while ago in this game, and he's standing by now with Mickey York.
Yeah, Mario, thank you very much. Yeah, Michael Fulmer got it started today. I know that first inning might have been a little longer than you would have hoped. Did you get out of the day what you were looking for?
Yeah, right now it's all part of building up pitch count, and after that, 30 pitch first inning, couldn't really grip the ball a little better, but you got to make adjustments. So that second, third inning went well, and then just as I feel my command was getting back, they had a couple good doubles there. So right now just part of the process of building pitch count and just trying to get inning to inning. So I was glad to get out of the first, but ultimately that fourth inning kind of got back up to me.
At what point down here do you start to concern yourself with results, if at all?
Not really down here. Obviously, you want better results, but I think just with the way of spring training goes, you gotta get that pitch count up be ready for your first start of the season. So obviously, spring training doesn't mean anything as far as wins and losses, but ultimately you want to see good results. But ultimately that matters is the first game of the season. Do you feel like your pitch count and you are progressing where you'd like to progress up to this point? Absolutely. I think the coaching staff's doing a great job of going and building pitch count up accordingly. Every start, so I'm happy with where I'm at. I feel good, I'm healthy, and that's all that matters. As you come into your second season, guys start to get a bigger book on you. What do you do to try to keep yourself ahead of the hitters and a step ahead of the game? Just got to make adjustments. Obviously have scouting reports and pitchers meeting with the pitching coach and catcher before each start, but you got to learn how to get guys out multiple ways. And if they're struggling on one certain pitch, throw it till they can hit it, and then once they start hitting it, then you got to go somewhere else. But that's just part of making adjustments from a game-to-game basis. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Thank you so much. I know you got family waiting for you, so we'll let you get on the way. Thanks, Mickey. All right, Mario, Rod.
All right, Mick, thanks. And thank you to Michael Fulmer sharing some thoughts here this afternoon. Got a new pitcher now for the Tigers in a wall side windows pitching change, and that is the right-hander Edward Mujica.
Mujica had 26 saves last year in AAA. You look at his career numbers. Of course, he saved some games in the big leagues as well. 24 and 28 overall in 494 games for Mujica. There was a time where he was closing games for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, he sure was. His best year with the Cardinals in 2013. 37 saves that year. Was an all-star for St. Louis.
In the International League last year, he had 26 saves, and he ranked second with finishing 33 games.
Here's the 2-2. And Frazier hammers one high in the air to right field. Back to the track. And dropped. And Frazier on his way to second base. He will pull in standing up. Like he just lost it in the sunlight out there in right field and just couldn't corral it. These day games here in spring training down here in Lakeland, boy, the sun, and you've been through enough of these, Rod, to know that sometimes the high sky can be difficult down here.
Yeah, no doubt. He got back on the ball, but then once he appeared to run too far, tried to gather himself, come back in, and then just couldn't make the play.
Here's Wade, who rolls one foul down the first base line.
And please forgive us if we don't get the name to you right away. It's kind of difficult down here in spring training when they have pretty much changed out all of the starting players. We'll get your name when we can.
It's Juan Perez out there, although I'm sure he was trying to sidestep us on that one.
He didn't want us to say his name,
No,
huh?
Probably not. It's like back off, Rod.
And they just don't change him one player at a time. Joe Girardi took everybody out of the game at the same time.
Yeah, it's a challenge down here, but that's all part of spring training.
It's all good.
0-2 on Wade. For the most part, the Yankees brought just about all of their starters here today.
Yeah, they didn't bring their right fielder. They didn't bring Aaron Judge. They didn't bring Castro.
It's bobbled at first base. Bang, bang, and out at first.
No,
safe at first. Never made the throw. That's why Country Joe didn't throw his arms out either way. It's like, here we go, Joe.
He's in midseason form.
So the first two reach First and third now. And a pair of errors by the Tigers here in the 9th inning.
Yeah, defenders haven't helped out Mujica much here in the 9th.
So the Yankees trying to add to their lead. Higashioka stands in. Runner goes to second, no throw. And he'll slide in safely. Higashioka struck out in the 7th inning, his only at bat so far. Infield coming in for the Tigers, down by 3 here in the 9th inning. Mujica signed as a free agent in January by the Tigers. One thing he does bring, and Rod touched on this, his closer experience to back up Frankie Rodriguez in the organization. And Mujica in his career has been about 7 strikeouts per 9 innings.
Not bad.
No. Ground ball to third. Ryan has it there. Checking the runner at third, one gone.
The designated hitter, Wilton Castillo.
Here's Wilton Castillo now. He took over as the DH for Matt Holliday earlier in the game, had a single in the 7th inning. Infield still in for the Tigers. Ground ball foul, first base side. Seen a couple of lefties here today in the ball game, Hardy and Bell, and I think, Rod, most managers would love to have 2 lefties at the very least coming out of their bullpen. Sometimes they have one and have to make do with one, but the Tigers have had some choices here in camp.
Well, it's always a nice luxury if you do have a couple of guys that are left-handed that you can put in your bullpen that can get you some outs. I mean, the one thing that you don't want to do,
right to the second baseman, that'll hold the runners, 2 gone.
Is just have left-handers out there just for the sake of having left-handers. That might not be all that effective, but if you've got a couple of left-handers out there that can do the job for you, it allows Brad to use one of those left-handers maybe in a pressured situation earlier in the game, and then you still have a left-hander that you can use later in the game too, maybe pitch to that same hitter again.
I have a sneaking suspicion that Justin Wilson will be a whole lot better this year than he was last year.
He was really good at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, he had some life on his fastball, and then for me, he just got too fastball happy. He had a good year the previous year when he was pitching for the Yankees out of their bullpen. And I always said the first month of the season for the Tigers was good too, but then he just kept throwing fastball after fastball after fastball, didn't mix in many breaking balls and off-speed pitches, and the league just caught up to him.
Ji-Man Choi hitting here with 2 outs.
Little excuse me swing by Choi.
And he's down to the count 0-2. Tigers today have gone with Fulmer, the starter, then Hardy, then Verhagen, who threw a scoreless 6th. Fouled away. Ruben Alani's also threw in the game today, and Chad Bell had that scoreless 8th in which he got him 1, 2, 3 and 3 ground ball outs.
Bell looked good.
He did.
Fastball got up to 94, might have touched 95, threw some good breaking balls. Brad had to be encouraged by what he saw out of Bell today.
Way outside. 1-2. And we talk about how players want to see spring camp end as quickly as possible. I think it's the opposite end of the spectrum for managers because they're still evaluating down to the end of the season. They want to see some of these guys as long as they possibly can. And he missed inside. Mujica thought he had him struck out.
I think most managers like to see their team play right around 500 when they come to spring training. They also want to see as many young kids as possible. Brad obviously is able to see a lot of young kids this year with the World Baseball Classic going on, and you also want to get out of spring training injury free. If you can accomplish those things, it's a productive spring training for you.
Full count on Choi. Here's the 3-2. On a line to right field, Perez will handle this one. Hit it hard, but right at him.
Tigers got to get a hit.
We go to the bottom of the ninth. Tigers looking for their first hit of the game.
Here's the Bell Tire play of the game. The Yankees scored 3 runs in the 4th inning against Michael Fulmer on 3 extra base hits, a couple of doubles and 1 triple. And Fulmer got off to a sluggish start in the very 1st inning. The 2nd and 3rd frames were outstanding. Then he was touched up for a few runs in the 4th inning. But all in all, nice day today by Michael Fulmer.
So the Yankees, who have come in with more wins in spring training than any other team, trying to polish off the Tigers here as Jordan Montgomery goes out for another inning of work. This will be his 4th of the afternoon. Simcox will lead things off for the Tigers. "19 straight have gone down consecutively for the Tigers offensively. Their last base runner was Ficcicello reaching on an error back in the 2nd.
So we'll just stay here, though, until the Tigers get a hit, though, right?
I mean, it could be 20 innings. Yeah. Well, we got to stay. The crew just freaked out. That's foul down the right field line. Oh, and 2 the count. A.J. Simcox is the hitter leading things off here in the bottom of the 9th. Played right here in Lakeland last year in the Florida State League and rolls 1 to short. And 1 gone. Here's the upcoming matchup presented by Wallside Windows. We've got a few more TV games here this spring, and of course the next one will be on the 24th against the Atlanta Braves. Then we've got the Blue Jays and the Phils.
You get me for the Atlanta game and also the Toronto Blue Jays game on the 26th, and then you get Gibby back.
All right.
Against Philly on the 29th.
All right. So 3 more to go after today. One gone here in the 9th inning. Here's a strike called. Montgomery trying to close this out. Came on in the 6th inning. Popped up. Shallow right field. It's going to be caught for out number 2. I thought for a split second there we had our first hit of the game. For a split second, now it's up to Romine. Come on, Andrew. Romine almost had the Tigers only hit back in the 5th inning when he looped one back to the shortstop, but it wouldn't fall.
I mean, really the hardest ball hit of the day for the Tigers was that absolute frozen rope that Justin Upton hit his last at bat.
Here's the 0-1 to Romine. Make it 0-2 now on the Tigers utility man.
Romine already has more at-bats this year than he has had in any spring training with the Tiger, with the guys being gone to the World Baseball Classic. Romine's able to get a lot of at-bats, and he's able to play everywhere, so he'll be ready when the regular season starts.
Soft line drive toward the shortstop, cut off at 3rd, and that is that. The Tigers are no hit in spring training here today.
Ouch.
A 1-2-3 9th inning. The last 22 in a row retired by the Yankees. They win it here this afternoon, 3-0. We'll be back.